So I paid my property insurance today and for the first time, a tax. It is, however, a reasonable one. This is the $12 per household surcharge that was imposed by the legislature to help fund foundation modifications, really new foundations for people in Eastern Connecticut whose foundations are crumbling and potentially taking their houses down with them. No house has fallen yet, but it is remedial and it's deserved. And here's why I'm almost happy to pay this kind of tax. There aren't many taxes I'm happy to pay. But this to me is something the state is very reasonable in asking of citizens because it's covering a few people who really couldn't do anything about it from an act of God. Okay, we can't protect against this. Nobody knew that a strain of sand in a certain quarry from which these foundations came was going to be deficient. These are not covered by insurance policies. So a few helpless homeowners suffer while the rest of us do fine. And their suffering is pretty heavy when it's your whole life savings in a house that could go down into the ground, literally. It seems like that's a reasonable kind of tax to help people who, not through any fault of their own, this is not something that other people were routinely protecting against. They get bailed out. Now, I would, if I were governor, be imploring something else to happen and maybe not have this state tax. Implore municipalities to let homeowners with deficient foundations build anew on the same plot, a second home. Right now, land use restrictions in most towns keep somebody, even with 2 acres, from putting a second home. 2 acres could house 5 homes easily, but they want to uphold certain property values, and what it keeps people from doing is keeping the same home until it actually collapses. Use it while you can, but have another home built, ready to go, rent it out perhaps until that time, or maybe you move in yourself and you rent out the not so great one until it gets dangerous. In that part of Connecticut, the Northeast, the average cost to build a home anew is not that much more than the new foundation of your old home. Okay, they estimate it at about $170,000. You can buy a new home, build a new home for 200. Okay, remember, you're not paying for the land, you already own it. So take that price out of the equation. $200,000 building costs is pretty reasonable. Look what happens in the process. Build new foundations with college kids, or not college. They're not going to college, but they want to go into the trades. And what a good work project at a low pay to get more laborers into careers. Get seasoned construction people to supervise, go lot to lot to lot, and that can cut the cost. The profit for these construction people will still be there, even though they can make the price of a whole new foundation and a whole new home relatively cheap. All right, last thing is to note that the $12 is per household. That is not progressive. And I'm on the fence about whether it should have been across the board. I myself have one of the lowest priced suburban homes in Connecticut, but I'm paying just as much each year as somebody in Greenwich with a $2.5 million home. I do think the state's purpose in helping a few people could be amplified by asking others to step up. I myself paid triple that in a donation to people in Tolland who had some of the early homes that were heading down. So hopefully we do raise enough money that nobody is truly losing a home.